Alright guys, so in this lesson we'll be talking about quadratic functions. So in general you see quadratic functions written as follows. You have this term, which is x squared plus c. So it's ax squared plus bx plus c. But what makes this a quadratic is this part here. More specifically, the exponent 2. So in order for this function to be a quadratic, you need this part. So that means that b and c can also be 0, but a cannot. So you need this part. So that tells us what is the simplest quadratic function we can have. We can set b to 0, c to 0, and a to 1. And what do we get? Y is equal to x squared. So let's see what this function looks like. What we can do. Okay, let's suppose this is scale, which is 1, 2, and so on. So here we would have -1, -2, the same here. Okay. So let's see what happens. When x is equal to 0, y is also equal to 0. So our function will go through the origin of the axis. When x is equal to 1, y is also equal to 1 because it's 1 times 1. So we will go through this point. So what happens when x is equal to 2? We have to go 2 times 2, 4. So we will be up here. Alright. So we can start drawing our function, which will be something like this. Then, what happens when x is negative? What we can do, we can set x to -1. And you see that since we have a square here, exponent 2, we have the same as with -2. So let's see what happens now when x is negative. What we can do, we can now take x equal to -1. As you can see, this exponent here makes x squared positive. So -1 times -1 is 1. It means that our function will go through this point here. -1, 1. So what happens when x is equal to -2? -2 times -2 will go up here, 4. So this tells us something interesting, that our function is symmetric with respect to the y-axis. Okay. So in order to get more familiar with quadratics, what we can do, we can play around with the parameters. For example, let's start adding a constant to our function. Y is equal to x squared plus, let's take 1. Okay. So what is the effect of this, the addition of a constant? suppose we are here, x is 0, y will become 1. If x is 1, y will become 2. 1 times 1 plus 1, which is 2. So the effect, the overall effect, is to shift our function upwards. Yeah? So it will be, the shape will be completely unchanged. Will shift upwards. As we increase this value, we can shift it upwards and outwards. So what happens when this number is negative, x squared minus 1? We are shifting it downwards here. But again, we have the same function. Okay. So another parameter you can play with is parameter a in front of the x squared. So what happens when a, for example, is, let's make the following example.